Qualifying Americans are receiving stimulus payments as part of the nation's response to the coronavirus pandemic. The Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP, was a $349 billion effort, and it ran out of money in less than 2 weeks. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell announced today an additional plan for money did not get passed.
It's now been 4 days since Paycheck Protection Program ran out of money. Republicans have been trying to secure more funding for this critical program for a week and a half now. At this hour, our Democratic colleagues are still prolonging their discussions with the administration, so the Senate, regretfully, will not be able to pass more funding for Americans' paychecks today.
Florida senators are both Republicans, and both are speaking out to support new PPP funding. Both Rick Scott and Marco Rubio want changes to favor the workers and businesses most hurt by the nation's shutdown.
So we've got to say, if you haven't had a downturn in your revenue, the big one, you shouldn't get this money. If you're wealthy, you shouldn't get this money. Banks don't play any games with this.
Senator Rick Scott fired up discussing the Paycheck Protection Program today on national cable TV. Senator Marco Rubio sounded off on Instagram.
So I'm asking SBA to do everything they can over the next 3 days to get that system ready. We can't afford any more delays.
Rubio anticipated the new PPP bill going through today from the Senate and then getting a House vote Wednesday. That didn't happen, so it delays what he says hurting Americans need.
So I want everyone to understand a couple things. Number one, our goal here was to cover workers. This money doesn't bail out any companies. It goes to workers. And I don't think it really matters who the worker works for, as long as the workers be kept on payroll.
Part of Senator Scott's criticism has been that the money in the bill was used up by larger companies instead of small businesses. Those are the companies in critical condition based on the pandemic.
Well, here, first off, we need to replenish it. But the way I look at this is businesses that did not see a significant downturn in their revenues, they shouldn't get it. If you look at what they did to our smallest companies, they couldn't even apply until just a few days before the money ran out. The banks should be helping those that need it the most.
Both senators said that they want the country to reopen, but not until it's safe to do so. Rubio says there's a very difficult balancing act underway for leaders.
And I also hear people out there talk about, let's keep it the way it is or something like it until, this thing is completely under control. Well, theoretically, that's the right approach. It's also completely unrealistic. The reality is that no matter what regulations government puts in place, there's only so far you can push people to comply before they start to push back.
Senator Rubio finished his series of videos on Instagram saying that he supports more money to develop, expedite, and deploy rapid testing. He says that's absolutely critical to reopening safely.